Hello everybody, welcome to Pubcat Games. My name is Zeroh and today we're gonna be doing something special. We're gonna be playing a game called Netghost. So, story time. This is a game that is currently out on Kickstarter right now. The folks over at Dragonfire Studios reached out to us and they were like, hey, do you guys want to try out a demo of our game? It's a visual novel style game that is heavily inspired by both Japanese and Western animation styles, and by that point I was like, visual novel style game? You had me at that. You had me at that. So I told them we would love to feature this game on the channel because I, for one, personally, I love the when I play a game, I really look forward to the story heavy aspect of it and making sure that we're experiencing top-notch quality story. Yeah, those are words. Anyway, this game is currently out on Kickstarter. Like I've said, the link is in the description below. Make sure to also check out their link to their website. It's also going to be down there. So yeah, go check them out. Go show them some love. Make sure you tell them the Pubcat Games sent you. And without further ado, let's start this thing. I'm curious. Like they marketed this as a very crime drama, very heavy, very interest. It has a very interesting concept, which we will see later. Probably they're gonna describe it to us. But this is a demo. It is free. It is free right now, so you can go check this out. If you haven't, if you want to experience this game for yourself, I completely understand. Go check it out. But for me, I'm just gonna press start. Let's go. All right, come on. Yeah. Oh. Chapter 1: Ladders and Snakes. Oh boy, I'm excited. I don't know if this is voiced, but I'm gonna try to do my damnedest. I'm gonna do my damnedest to voice this. oh, wait, it's the main character. Hey you. Yes, I'm talking to you. You, whoever you are. My name is Ian Newfield. I live at 37 Allen Street, Palamo Heights, Tri-State 86572, and I'm a cybersecurity engineer at Daikon Industries. But you may have already known that. If you found this recording, in the message that follows, I will speak the truth, and nothing but the truth. This is not an admission of guilt. My mind is clear and my faculties are sound. I am clean of drugs and I am not depressed, nor am I suicidal or under psychological pressure. I do not own, nor do I have the license to own any firearms, nor do I know how to use them. A week ago, a chunk of our encrypted data at Daikon Industries was leaked. Data crucial to a highly classified project that may have an effect on world affairs. Several corporate-level interest parties and other entities have stakes in this, so the situation is understandably tense. But as per my job description, I am not qualified to know the details of the project. I just make sure it doesn't fall into the wrong hands. I have copies of logs and files stored in my workplace, here in my house and in other locations that I'm not going to disclose, set to be uploaded online in the event of my death. All of it is data that clears me for leaks of info or any wrongdoing, really. Any encryption code is airtight on a closed network. Always. I know it wasn't me who leaked this information, so it has to be someone from the office where I work. Someone who exploited their access privileges to find easy ways around the security I and the fellow employees maintain. I've been tasked by my boss, Mr. Bauer, CEO of Daikon Industries, with finding out who the thief, who this rogue employee is, and that's what I'll do my best to do. This is for my sister Vivi. If it comes to you ever watching this, It means things have gone badly for me. I'm sorry. Take care. A week ago. Okay, starting off like that. This guy is awesome. Oh wait, shit! I'm supposed to be narrating. I'll use my narrator voice. The sun bore down the back of. Oh no! Wait, shit! This is him. It's in first person. Oh, it's in first person. Okay. God, why did I choose this voice for my throat? Okay. The sun bore down the back of my neck mercilessly. My whole body was sweating in the summer heat. I wished right then that I could get out this tight suit that I have to wear every day in my job, as per company policy. Bro, I can tell you this, my job in real life is pretty close to this, so I feel you. I had a look around me at the busy sidewalk. People were headed to work at this time of the day, all with the burden of the blazing sun on their necks, just like me. Yet they pressed on. So did I. Daikon Industries, an information technology company and a small branch of a larger international umbrella corporation. Significant in its own way, yet little known or acknowledged by its associates or the world. Like a shadow company. Simple employees don't get to see the clients, and I'm never told what it is I'm working to protect. That's fine by me. It's my job as a cybersecurity engineer. There's as quiet as can be. Closed network, no threats, no attacks to deal with. I come in contact with some corporate-loving gems, but that's also fine at the end of the day. Somehow, some way. I get paid, that's all. There's air conditioning in the office. Priorities, yes. I was sitting in my desk chair, coffee at the ready next to my mouse, typing. I wasn't sure how much time had passed since I began, but I wasn't the kind to keep track of time. For me, work was finished when work was finished, not when the time came. Dude, you gotta take a break, man. Taking breaks works. And can we, wait, before we continue, can we take a little time to appreciate the music? I've played lots of VN games, and usually the soundtrack is the one that you memorize the most. This soundtrack's pretty good. I felt at home on my desk. I had been doing this for so long, I'd gotten used to all the sounds around me. The people around me, fellow employees, faded into the background. And it was as if I was alone, just me, my desk and my computer. The endless rows of letters and numbers, the mediocre coffee on the plastic cup from the cafe across the street. Even the keyboard that felt clunky when compared to the one I have at home. As I typed, I couldn't help it. My consciousness drifted off, and I found myself being very aware of my circumstances, my life. Every day is the same. My job, simple for me. I'm on my desktop trying to type encrypted words and numbers for hours upon hours. Sometimes I email myself when I'm bored. I don't usually stop or take breaks, and often I work overtime. I get sucked in. The screen draws me in. I kind of have no life. Its spell keeps me there until very late at night sometimes. Coding is a world of perfect square logic. A system of unrelenting laws and rules in which I am the absolute master. What I type goes. I give a command, action happens. A leads to B, B leads to C. I wish dealing with my coworkers was just as straightforward. I stopped typing, took a sip of my coffee, and glanced around the office. People are more complicated. A leads to Z with some of them. They know nothing of reason. I try to avoid this. Oh, hello, who's this guy? Others, they know of reason, and they're just stubborn. And others, hello. Oh, hello. And others, they use reason when it suits them, and don't when it doesn't suit them. That's a peculiar combination. Oh, this guy! I like the design of this guy. Oji-san. I like him. This guy's my favorite so far. But people are not all bad. I know some of them have desire to do well, fair, and with no shenanigans. I work best with such types. So they're my office workers? Office mates? It's easy to read people when they're off guard, just doing their thing. Every detail on their person, from their clothes to the way they talk, says something about them. just have to know how to interpret it. Either way, most of them in this office don't have secrets from me. And I mean that literally, since I've happened upon their work email passwords. Yeah, I do that. I try not to peek, but you know, curiosity gets the best of me sometimes. I guess it's my dirty little secret. And it's nothing compared to some of the other dirty little secrets I found, so I managed to sleep soundly at night. I took another sip of my coffee and stood staring blankly at the code on my screen. I was tired as hell, as I was so very often. It felt like sleep was never enough. For a moment, I began missing the days of school, when I could get as much sleep as I liked, but in this time, in this life, having this kind of job, it wasn't going to happen. My thoughts were interrupted when I noticed someone was standing next to my desk, casting a shadow over me. I turned my head around and looked at the guy wearily. The reason I chose this voice is because he was kind of giving off like this noir feel, like he was narrating everything about his life. I think it fits. Mike! Yeah! The large man called out. That was Mike Millen, another coder working for the company. He was the type of guy who writes anonymous rants about politics on 5net and spends his weekends inside watching the Neckbeard Squad podcast on YouTube religiously. Neckbeard Squad podcast. I can't blame him though. I watch that podcast too, sometimes. Well, as the master of the Daikon server, I had the password of Mike's work email and I'd taken a glance at his inbox before. He used that same email for his account on YouTube, which led me to find emails that pointed to lengthy, mostly pointless arguments he likes to have in the comments of videos. I check them every once in a while to amuse myself. But this guy's a troll. Mike's job was to decrypt outside material brought in by clients. Write a first stage sort of temporary shell of protection, then pass the material on to me. A job harder than most people in his company, judging from the kind of top secret things that were brought into our care. He was a one-of-a-kind coder, which would explain why he got away with wearing whatever kind of clothes at work he pleased, instead of following the dress code. Yeah, I'm wearing a suit. This guy's wearing a hoodie. Hey man, got anything for me? Not this time, he said. Something's up. Something's come up. I could tell he wasn't joking, so I turned my chair to face him. Ian. Oh wait, I'm Ian. I'm Ian! What is it? He paused for a bit, giving me a look I rarely saw from him. Oh, Bowers asked to see you. Better go talk to him. Is it the headsman's axe? Should I start looking for a new gig? I was half joking, but seeing him not laugh made me concerned as well. I'm gonna go easy on the low voice for Ian. It's hurting my throat, man. Alright. He left without a word. Mike could be awkward at times. I got up from my office desk, the shirt beneath my suit jacket stuck on my chest tightly, and I started to sweat again. Despite the coolness of the air condition, this could very well be my last day in the office. My thoughts started racing. Where would I go now? What would I do? Will I ever get to go on YouTube again? As I tread through the floors of the offices, my mind on its own went back to my work. I hadn't done anything wrong or out of the ordinary. My code was sound and solid. I made sure it was. Was I just not needed here anymore? That could not be it either, I thought, as I walked to the elevator. I pressed the button and the doors closed. Include door sound effect right here. I'd been a model employee. Mr. Bauer himself had hinted so. Then it follows that he wouldn't fire me just like this. At least, he would maybe give me a warning. I was having these thoughts even though I didn't know if anything had truly gone wrong or what it was that my boss wanted to talk about. Perhaps I was getting ahead of myself. Perhaps he just found my YouTube account. The elevator came to a halt, but it wasn't my floor. The doors opened and all the people that could enter. The person least likely to be working in this office came in. Oh, Ken, wait. I should give Ken a cool voice. M, 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 M. Hey man! Goddamn. Ken said as soon as he saw me, all happy like. I composed myself and tried not to show my discomfort at his presence. He pressed the button for the top floor, even though I had already pressed it. Ken was here for more than 6 months, yet the office folks still thought he was the new guy. If I had a say in it, he would be long gone by now. With his attitude, I wouldn't even hire him to begin with. In fact, he never respected the job's dress code. Some days he didn't show up to work at all, and looked half the type to be selling watches in some filthy corner downtown. Like half like the usual Silicon Valley genius that is all too happy to sell your search history and email address for a quick buck. I couldn't decide which it was when I first saw him, and I couldn't decide now. I knew he wasn't exactly professional since he spent almost all of his time on Google looking for other people's code rather than making his own. He works here? I thought he was this gangster that just comes in here for protection. In hindsight, even professionals do that quite a lot, but he didn't strike me as the professional at any rate. What's good? Ken asked with unusual glee. Not much, I guess. What are you so happy about? You up for promotion? I said with a dry, tired smile. Nah, just business, that's all. He was a simple coder, or at least was supposed to be. It was strange to hear him call his job business, but I had a feeling he was referring to something altogether different. Yeah, what type of business? I couldn't help myself to ask. The type of business that's none of your business, he said defensively, and I shrugged. His look and tone almost proved my suspicions. Alright. Jesus Christ, alright. I said, backing off. Tch! Ken said in a low voice and exited the elevator. I shook my head and I followed him out. I was thankful when I saw him go the other way that I needed to go. Seconds later, I stopped outside the door to Mr. Bauer's office and braced myself before I knocked. I wished with all my strength that was all well and good, for my sake and the sake of my sister who depended on me. I like the plot so far. Nice build-up. Come in! I heard my boss's muffled voice from behind the door. With his permission, I stepped into the CEO's office. I just used whatever random voice first came to my mind. We were high above the ground level. So high, in fact, that all anyone could see through the window at first glance were skyscrapers of the tri-state. A nice view of the top dog of this company to enjoy, to be sure. I spotted Mr. Bauer next to his desk. He was pacing around, talking to his earpiece. He looked at me for a second, as if to acknowledge me briefly, and then walked away, continuing on with his conversation. I wondered if he was on the phone with his girlfriend or his wife. I knew Mr. Bauer was married because he was wearing a ring, and that he was a cheater because he wasn't always wearing it. And of course, because he used his work email to secretly talk to his side lady. But I tried not to let my personal opinion of him interfere with my work, like with much of anybody else in the office. I wasn't exactly a saint either way. I thought it best to be discreet, so I just closed the door behind me and stayed put. He was far enough away from me so I could not hear what he was saying, but the tone of his conversation seemed urgent. He was making wide gestures as he walked around, as if he would wish to, dyslexia, as if he wished to coerce the person on the other side of the line. I knew then that it was one of our clients. Sorry about that, guys. Dyslexia acting up. I couldn't hear much of what was said. Fixing my tie, I remained quiet until it was done. Newfield! He called out before even shutting down the call. Hello, I said somewhat awkwardly, not knowing what awaited. We've a major crisis on our hands, Mr. Bauer said. I knew right away what he meant it. What is it, sir? Can I help? Can you? This is such a stupid voice to give him. It's too late now, it's too late. Mr. Bauer asked. He seemed displeased, irate even. A portion of our precious code was leaked. Someone posted it online anonymously. Code from a year ago. So not our oldest segment, or the latest. I felt my tie choking me all of a sudden. No way, impossible, I thought. And I'm not one to use that word lightly. I'd been working on this encryption on a closed network, day and night, for years. Can't be, I finally said, my brow sweating, my shirt sticking to my chest. We've done 5 times the amount of what can be done with the product security, with the resources and time provided. As I've documented in my reports, what we're looking after is more fortified than certain bank vaults, if you can believe that, sir. I almost added that the product, whatever it was, better be worth the amount of money tossed into its security, if it's so heavily guarded, but that wasn't something to share with your boss. As long as the hand kept feeding, right? I know, Mr. Bauer shouted. I know. He paused and sighed. We found components of the dark web. Whoever did this decrypted the thing as well. Decrypted it? I said dubiously in a hushed tone. All of its strata? Yeah, all of its layers and what have you. Which means they've been at it for some time. Listen, Newfield, don't work for it. Forget the data is available out there, and our clients will do the rest. Make sure it's wiped clean of any sides it appears in. I give him such a weird, cracky voice. They're already frothing at the mouth over the leak. If we had an employee of ours have a look over there and learn something they shouldn't, heads will roll. In fact, I'm surprised heads haven't rolled already. I tried to calm myself and think of ways this could have happened. I covered my mouth with my hand, glancing out the window. Thinking after collecting my thoughts, I spoke. Sir, if we were hacked, I would know it in an instant. But I was never aware of anything like it. Everything was fine when I left my desk a few minutes ago. My boss nodded seriously. I know, he said yet again. He must have reached the same conclusion I was about to reach. Which means, I speculated, we weren't hacked. Somebody got to it from the inside. I know this company's full of snakes, so that's no surprise. And there's heat all over our product, Mr. Bauer said, and ordered me in a brisk manner. You're tasked with the security, so do your job. And let me be clear, I don't care how you do it or what methods you use. Just find out. I stopped to think of the implications of this. Mr. Bauer looked displeased when he noticed my hesitation. Do I have to spell it out? He rasped. Hack them if you have to. I gave him a tentative look. It wasn't like I'd never hacked anyone before, but only when I knew it was completely safe, and that no one would be harmed in the process. But this whole ordeal reeked of legal trouble. Though I should consider other options first, but I knew it wouldn't change a thing with Mr. Bauer. I assume we can't get the police involved. What are you, nuts? We tell the police, our clients learn of it, and we're done! Done? No, this has to be solved internally. Our company's reputation depends on it. Right. Of course, sir. I had no choice but to agree. I will find them, I promised, as the pride of my work depended on it. A quick moment of silence followed, and it looked like the conversation was done. I nearly headed out the door just then. I nearly headed out of the door just then. Relieved that I'd walk out of this office still with a job, but a thought occurred to me that made me stop and turn to face my boss. Sir, how come you don't think it was me? He was turning to his desk, but he paused and looked at me. You? He said, incredulous. You don't have the guts for it. That's actually comforting, I found myself thinking as I turned to leave. At least he doesn't think it was me. And Newfield, the boss said, don't tell a living soul about anything we talked about. Oh, that was a long thing. Hold on, let me take a drink of water. Gotta keep hydrated. Gotta keep hydrated. Alright. I was sitting on my desk, sweating. Hot on the inside, but cold on the outside thanks to the air conditioning. An awful feeling. But another uglier feeling nested inside me. Anxiety. Bro, I feel that. When I returned to my computer, I'd almost opened up the turnip browser, wanting to take a small peek at the leaks on the dark web. But my other concerns prevailed for now. And I would be an award-winning idiot if I did this at work. Besides, I had to take the safety measures before doing anything else. The first thing I did was plaster a sticky note, blackened with permanent marker on my webcam, and then turn down the company's mic right after. If this was an inside job, I was not about to risk being spied on. I slowly started to check every hardware piece on my office computer. The hard drives were still plugged in, every cable was connected to the right place, no suspicious disks in the drive, no USB sticks or anything else that wasn't put there by myself. Alright, time to check the software. Logging in seems normal. Code access times ordinary. The code was accessed at night. Sometimes, at night sometimes. But I knew that was me. I often stayed in the office to work. At certain days, very late. Oh, shit! Oh. Got a little hiccups from from drinking water. Shit, hold on. Give me a moment, Okay, alright. I think I'm good. Where was I? Oh yeah, I did a quick search for bugs that could have caused the opening. Nothing came up. My computer's hardware and software checked and secured, and my fruitless bug search done. I rationalized that it was my skill as a coder that was at fault. If somebody knew the password to my work computer, this computer right in front of me, in the server room of the building, then theoretically with the right knowledge, they could get their hands on the project and manually copy it. How they decrypted it past the point was a different question, so I chose not to think about it for the moment. I peeped above my computer and saw Mike walking towards my desk. "Ian, you're back!" Mike said. It sounded hopeful. "Yeah, I'm back," I said, laying back on my chair comfortably. "Did you get chewed on?" I could feel more questions coming up. I had to cook some lie about what went on because I wasn't supposed to speak to anyone about my talk with the boss. "No," I said, "everything's fine." Way to sound not suspicious, man. "Everything's fine?" Mike said doubtfully. "Power was furious earlier." "Well, I couldn't tell you why," I said. My sarcasm was so carefully veiled that it went over Mike's head. "Did he mention my name?" "No," I said. "Your job's safe. Don't worry about it. Just get back to work." Judging by his look, he might have suspected I wasn't being truthful, but he didn't say much else and left for his desk. Who was it? That question bothered me ever since I left the boss's office. I put my mind to work. Whoever it was, they must have had considerable computer skills, a good reason to hang around in the building, and possibly knowledge of the work schedule of everyone in the company. That would let them know when it was time to strike, and if it was a clean inside job, they could do it within the time span of a few hours. The nostalgic feeling of being back at work I had earlier, before the talk with my boss, had given way to a deep-seated anxiety. My suspicions first turned to the new guy, Ken. The guy was far from clean. He was using keyloggers and other pre-made hacking software that he downloaded online to hack people he knew, and I found out from his emails, from which emails I inferred he was into the drug trade. Oh, drugs! Judging by online conversations with his buddies where some bizarre sentences like, "Do you have the cats I asked for?" and "How much for the baskets?" were all used all the time, an all-time classic. The coded language he and his lot were using were more transparent than they thought, but ultimately their extra-legal adventures were no concern of mine, as he himself pointed out earlier. I had a good idea how a person like that could land a job in a place like this. His dad was a lawyer in a corporate-level law firm, a firm whose interests aligned with those of Daikon Industries. To be sure, I had no doubt in my mind that this guy was here to freeload and to make some fast cash by cutting corners. I wouldn't put it past him to have his way with Daikon Industry products, if he got the chance. Besides, did he have the skill to pull it off? Was he competent enough? Smart enough? No, by my estimation. But I wasn't going to rule him out just like that. There's more than meets the eye. Always. And then there was Hope, of the accounting department. I didn't know anybody in the office who could match her professional diligence. I was distracted by two big reasons. Or her cunning ambition. But she wasn't smart about the latter. I knew she coveted the CEO's chair for years now, and that's where it looked like she was headed. She bowed her head and jumped when she was ordered by Mr. Bauer, but she loved to micromanage employees like me, who had nothing better to do with her department. It's possible she has OCD. She had a habit of getting irate if even the small detail of what she's working on is off. But she was timid at heart. She'd just back off from open conversations, as I had observed when she and her apparent unlikely rival, the janitor, Andre, had an argument about how to mop the floor properly or something. I didn't really care enough to stay and listen. If she was behind the leak, she wasn't doing it for the money. She would do it to get ahead. That's all she cared about as far as I knew. Andre was the janitor of the building. Had been for at least 3 or 4 years. Ken liked to call him an old geezer. Andre did look old, but he wasn't older than 40. I hadn't thought much about it before, as his time at work was uneventful, and one could imagine he came by, picked up his tools, cleaned the place up, chatted with other employees during break, and left after his 8 hours were up. But after today's talk with my boss, I had the feeling Andre's ordinary gray eyes knew more than they let on. Did they have the skills to pull this off? I had no idea. In truth, I didn't know much of anything about him. All I knew, that he wasn't good at his job, and that he wasn't coming from across the pond. Europe, maybe? But what if it was Mike? Yeah, what if it was Mike? Right now, my suspicions on, of course, the Yakuza guy. Just the thought made my chest swell with stress. Mike was more capable to do something like this than any of the others I'd considered so far. He was a knowledgeable coder. He knew my work schedule. He knew his way around the server room. And he had a hand in encryption, which would mean he had a head start on decrypting the thing. Those facts alone would not convince me that he was worthy of suspicion. Every coder in this office had the aforementioned qualities and abilities, but Mike stood out from the rest. It wasn't common knowledge around the office, more like a rumor that Mike had hacked Daikon before he was hired. In fact, that was the reason he was hired to begin with. It was a classic story in our field of work. Skilled coders probing for exploits and holes in the code of a company's website or product, then sending the owners their findings for a reward, or in this case, a position in the company for their useful skills. I knew the truth from one of Mike's work emails, that I'd read when I got access to his messages. In Bauer's words, when talking to Mike, he hadn't forgotten the liberties he took before joining. What I didn't know about this little story is what it was exactly that Mike had hacked. Was it my code? There was a good chance it was, and that frightened me. The plot thickens, man. Interesting. Or it wasn't Mike at all! Or any of the people that I mentioned. It was one of the other who work in the office. There were people with daily access in this building who I'd never interacted with. That was going to complete my search tenfold. My thoughts were scattered all over the place. Writing down what made me suspicious about each of those people would help, but doing so would be dangerous. What if someone saw the writings, or saw me writing them? I had to return home, collect my thoughts, and take care of that. I stored copies of my work logs at home. I glanced at my watch to see if it was past 3. Time flew by and I didn't even know how. Usually I'd be starving by this hour, but I didn't feel like having anything to eat after today's events. I just resolved to go home as quick as possible.